All right, today we have Hannah Hackathorn and Ben Ayers, and they are architects with Mancini Duffy in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have their own studio there. So we had a fun episode with them, just talking about how they enhance the world around them, what they're doing with their company, and just, all that kind of good stuff. So what really drew you into this episode today?
I think at the beginning part of it, I was like, okay, we're talking about architecture and all this stuff, which obviously that's what they do, so that's important. It's more of the how-to. But when we kind of got into the why of like why they do what they do, and then that's when I was like, oh, okay. But sincerity, right? So I've always heard from Mom that, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. People don't care what you do until they know that you care about what you do, is something that I kind of would summarize us into for the intro, is that if people don't sense that you care about them or they care about you, the way you work and how you do your job efficiently, they're not going to want you to work for them or do stuff for them, just because they don't want somebody that doesn't want to do their job to do the job.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? What'd you find?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely struck a nerve, and really just, I've got a few notes here on my notepad. I learned a lot from them and about how the personality, the behavior that you need to have, and the personality you need to have when you're leading others and when you're working with clients and customers, which is no ego. That was the thing that really hit me the hardest. So, and especially in this industry, because we're talking about architects, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about contractors, and we're known, capital E engineer, capital A architect, we're known to provide our opinion. We're known for that type of thing. So to say no ego is really, that strikes a nerve. Yeah, and it's hard to do, and it's a good reminder. I think we know that for the most part, but it's a good reminder, and I really appreciated them. And it seems like they really walk the talk on that.
I feel like it would be easy to have an ego as an architect or an engineer because you know what you're doing. You have all these calculations and all these things you have to know how to do in order to do it and, provide the product that you provide. And if you don't know how to do it, then, but then not having the ego, like you said, that's important, and that's what attracts people to provide business to. Right.
So those are some of the things I learned, and we learned about so much more. We talked about different aspects of, what they're doing with Mancini, Duffy, and the innovation, not to mention some of the cool projects they're working on, and just a fun episode with the two of them.
My name is Madeline Richardson, and this is the Enhanced Podcast.
And this is the host.
This is the host.
I've been doing this podcast 2 years.
We've been doing the Enhanced Podcast for about 2 years. This is Andy Richardson, the host of the podcast. He's been an engineer for a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Let's jump to the intro.
Welcome to Enhance, an AEC podcast, where we learn the why behind AEC professionals so that you can learn your why.
Well, hey Ben, hey Hannah, welcome to the Enhance podcast today.
Hi Andy, thank you for having us.
Yeah, definitely.
Glad to have both of you on. So I like to start out just for fun to ask something to get your brain working. So, and by the way, these questions may or may not be on the list.
Oh, great.
But I'll ask Ben first. So Ben, you're an architect. So what is, if unlimited budget, what's something that you would design for the Phoenix community as an architect?
Wow, good question. I've never even pondered the idea of an unlimited budget, so that's a big question for me to think about. I think, one of the things that I have seen over and over the years here, there's kind of this one big idea, Andy, that I can remember being in school and there were projects that looked at this, but it was this idea of taking a huge area of Phoenix and just putting a huge amount of shade for that. And I've seen that kind of idea
shade.
it's come over and over again. And I wouldn't do the whole city by any stretch of the imagination to know, but what I would say, the reason I bring that up is it's funny right now. We're doing another kind of big study project right now for Arizona State University, and the big idea, again, this is like kind of been happening over and over again, was take the whole site and do a huge canopy over the whole thing and shade, and all the buildings kind of live, parking lives, everything lives under the shade. And so I don't know, I'd love to do, and it never really happens in the way that you think it is, but I remember, when I was in school, I remember Jack DeBartolo, which is a very well-known architect here in the Valley, had a concept for this huge park in downtown Phoenix. The whole thing had this shade canopy. And so, anyway, I'd do something like that.
I've never been to Arizona.
Yeah.
I've never been to Phoenix. I'm in the southeast. So, but we're known for our heat down here, but I'm guessing it's pretty hot there. Is that the main issue?
Yeah, definitely. I spent a lot of years in South Florida, and I'll tell you right now, this is far better than what you put up with. The humidity is it's terrible. Absolutely
It's a dry
terrible.
heat.
It is dry, but it does get, if you ever opened up the oven, the joke is, Andy, when you open up the oven, that heat that comes out when you're, 400 degrees oven, that's exactly what it feels like when you go outside in the middle of summer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
don't come right now.
yeah, that's funny because they always talk about the humidity here, and I've got one of my kids that just picks on us. He's like, stop talking about the humidity. But
I'll take this.
It's funny
For sure.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting take. So thanks for sharing that, Ben. So Hannah, we'll give you a stab at the same question. You get the advantage of a couple minutes of thinking through this. So what
I
would
had
you do?
two things. So the personal side, I would have loved to create a animal sanctuary. I think if money was no object, I would love to have my own rescue organization where I can rescue all kinds of animals and have a huge property and take care of them. That's if I won lotto and I don't have to work for a living, that probably will be the case. But selfishly, so I grew up in metropolitan city. I grew up in Seoul, and then I moved to America at the age of 13, and I've lived in New York for a bulk of my life and bulk of my careers back in East Coast. So I think selfishly, if I could, I would create a driving-free city where I don't ever have to drive to anywhere. It's walkability. You have your restaurants and stores and things within your vicinity where you can walk. I think that selfish side of me, the convenience side of the living in New York City that I miss so much, having moved here and having to drive to go everywhere. Anywhere. So it'd be driving less, car-free city, car-free Phoenix.
So Phoenix is you have to drive a car pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I have to get a carton of milk. I gotta drive to the stores. I
will
miss
say,
the walk.
Yeah, there are pockets that are walkable, Andy, but not a lot. It is very much a driving culture. It's funny, we just were having a chat with a young guy that might be coming to our office to work here, that he's from New York. He's living in New York City. And he's freaking out about he's like, I can actually get a 1-bedroom apartment. He was excited about that. But then he was can I get away with not having a car? Can I get a motorcycle? And we're like, no, you need a car.
I mean, you can, but
You will regret that
seasonally,
choice.
no. Yes.
Yeah, then the heat or the rain. I guess, is there a rainy season too, or
Yeah,
We're
have
supposed to.
monsoon season.
Yeah, we have a monsoon, yeah.
theoretically?
Yes.
It comes
When it
and goes.
happens, it does pour, but
Yeah, it's
Pretty
violent
rare.
rain when we get it, but it's much less frequent than it used to be.
yeah.
Awesome. But I guess Seoul was more of a walking community for you.
Yes, I mean, all my life I've lived in city of some sort. So growing up, it was just you walked everywhere. You go to a store, you go to your neighbor's house, your friend's house. It's all walkable. Or there's a public transportation that can take you any places. And that's very similar in New York as well. It was actually easier to walk to places and sometimes faster than taking a taxi. I mean, you rely on subway. So when I first moved out to the Valley area 5 years ago, the idea of having to drive everywhere was a bit daunting. And I didn't get my driver license until in my mid-30s. So for me, like I still consider myself as a young drivers who's still learning the ways, and I don't like it. I hate driving, and Ben knows that because I make him drive everywhere.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, quick connection point, Hannah. I don't know if you knew this. Jessica, the podcast manager, she's not from there, but she's currently in South Korea.
Oh, cool.
So
I hope she's enjoying it.
But that's where she's living now. So I just thought it was a fun connection point. But
yeah.
So and really one of the big reasons that I think one of the big things we want to talk about today, I think, is this Phoenix studio or office that you guys are both co-directing. So congratulations on that. Is that fairly new news that this is going
2 years
on?
in?
Somewhat.
Almost
2 years in June. Yeah.
So relatively new. It kind of happened very fast and furious. Ben and I, we used to work together at another large architectural company based in Phoenix. We were 2 studio directors there. And we really got a lot of opportunity to collaborate with each other. His team was working on my project, vice versa. So we got to kind of learn more about each other, our leadership styles. In the perfect ideal world, if we could have our own office that we're running, what would that be like? So a lot of brainstorming, ideating, maybe commiserating, all of the above. And that led to one day I received a call from a friend of mine who happened to be a recruiter, and he was working with Mancini to help place a person in Seattle office. And that just kind of led to questions about, what is Mancini doing? And I've actually had a lot of history back with Mancini. This is actually my 3rd time back. I worked at Mancini as an intern when I was in college in New York City. I worked there a little over 13 years ago when I was pregnant with my child, who's now 13. So when I've kind of heard about all the different things that Mancini's doing with the new leadership under Christian Giordano, who I've known, his wife and I went to school together. So there's all this weird mix of connection and synergy. And then when I just kind of we pitched the idea, or we quickly threw the idea, say, well, would Christian ever consider opening an office in Phoenix? It's a happening market, a lot moving here. And that kind of led to reconnecting with Christian, introducing Ben, and rest was a history. Everything just moved in rapid speed from there. I think from the initial conversation to us actually putting ink to paper was a little over a month, maybe, if that.
Yeah, not
And so we've really never had a chance to look back and say, whoa, are we doing the right thing? It just was like, we gotta go. This is an opportunity we can say no to. And I've kind of cornered Ben into coming on this journey with me. But yes, it's been pretty wild.
Awesome. What's your take on that, Ben? I mean, starting up this new studio in Phoenix under Mancini Duffy. I guess Duffy kind of gets the
boot.
But
still there, just not as well. Everything. We were not actively looking at anything, and I think when she says commiserating, a lot of it was us complaining back and forth, and we were, we got to work together for a while. I've been here in the Valley my whole career for the most part. I had 1 year. What do you call it, Hannah? Oh, sabbatical. I had a year sabbatical in Colorado. But I've been here all of my career, and I've kind of been at a few different firms. And so the last one that we were working at is a pretty significant firm. And so for me, that experience completely changed the trajectory of my career, frankly. Where I saw myself going before that was different from where that landed. And so I have to be grateful for that experience because it taught me that I could do this. And so then I think one of the things that there's certain things from leadership in that role that we were able to start to see that worked really well and some things that didn't. And so one of those was this idea of kind of co-leadership. And so when Hannah got that call And that evening when she called me, I remember it very, very well, because she called and said, hey, all the whining we've been doing, I got a real opportunity here, but I don't want to do it by myself. And what do you think? And of course, I turned around and said, I need to ask my wife first. So we talked about that, and then very quickly it happened, obviously. So it was really exciting. It was something that we felt that we worked together really, really well. We had a kind of a strong alignment of where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. And so, yeah, it was kind of one of those things that you can't say no to, as she said.
Yeah, awesome. And what is your current profile or makeup of your studio currently? Is it the two of you? You have a team, or?
Yeah, we have a team. So we're a team of 6, and we were able to kind of jump in very, very quickly and build that out because of some projects that came with us that were unanticipated. So that was allowed us to kind of grow really quickly. And our attitude on that was, well, one, get bodies in here that could help us deliver the work. So that was the primary. But secondary to that too was we've had this attitude of we get a really strong core team that has every aspect of a team. And so we could take on any type of project if we had every role covered. And so, yeah, I'll let you chime in on that one too, Hannah, but that was an attitude. So the makeup of it, I'll let her talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, we anticipated starting kind of slow. And as Ben said, the client who we were really fortunate, they wanted to work with us, that did expedite our growth substantially. But one of the beautiful thing, even from going into joining Mancini and opening an office in Phoenix, we knew that we could tap into all the amazing talents and resource across, all our other offices. And that has been true case of when we first opened, and that's still the case when, even 2 years in. There's a lot of level of collaboration and sharing the resources and sharing the talent to position ourselves to win and to really be able to service our client to our fullest ability. So, and I think it also keeps our team a lot more engaged and exciting, because they're not only getting an opportunity to work on projects that's locally based here, but they're also getting some unique opportunities located in East Coast or other locations that they may not necessarily been exposed to. So it's been really exciting to see not only us, but our team able to share that knowledge and experience across.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you have the best of both worlds. You are. It's
Yes.
like you're starting a new business in a sense, like an entrepreneur, but at the same time you have this resource. So
Yeah.
if you were
100%.
to maybe tell somebody at Mancini, so I'll go with the Mancini too. But if you were to talk to somebody there, or for example, maybe a colleague. Because we have AEC, architects, engineers, and contractors. But what was your decision matrix for that in terms of, hey, because I'm sure that crossed your mind. Let's just start up our own deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or it could just be the Hannah show or the Vin show.
Yeah.
That would have been an option. Or you could stay where you're at. Anyway, there's a litany of options, but you chose this, which is to plug into a bigger company. So what was your
Sure.
decision process for that?
I think it was probably a little bit easier for me because I had history with Mancini. Although the Mancini has gone through a lot of changes, even from the time that I used to work there as an intern and the time that now we join as one of the office leader. I think what really drew me to Mancini again is there's a really combination of the history-rich legacy. We're a 100+ years old firm. There's a very enriched history about who we are, how the firm was created. But there was also the sense of new innovation and trying to be forefront in technology and constantly paving the way and trying new ways to improve our design process and the way that we collaborate with our clients, our partners, and extended partners. So I think to me that was really the one part, and having also met with the rest of the leadership, the sense of camaraderie and willingness to really support and uplift each other. That was really awakening moment where I'm like, this is the exact type of culture and the brand that I want to be part of it again.
Awesome. Well, that's a good answer. So Ben, what do you think? She telling the truth there, or? You agree with
Absolutely telling the truth. Yeah. No, it was, coming here for me was something that obviously she had the familiarity, she had the history. Is a little bit new to kind of see a firm like Mancini. It was different, but you nailed it on the head earlier, Andy, with what you said. In our commiserating, we did, obviously there were conversations about doing our own thing, without a doubt. And that would have been something that we talked about. But when you have an opportunity like this that takes those things that are on the risky side of that equation and takes those away, it made it very, very easy decision in some ways. In other ways, it was harder too. I mean, I think where we were before was a very significant firm, a large, largest design firm in the world. Everyone will know what that is, I think, at this point. So,
Okay. I'm Googling it right now.
and so, a lot of resources, a lot of things there that were really good. And so we had this, situation kind of presented to us that was very, very different in the sense of that. So, but, as I started to get to know Christian, the leadership at the firm, see what they've been doing, the attitude they have, as Hannah said, one of the things that was really appealing to me was this kind of attitude of being at the tip of the spear when it comes to technology and integration in our process and looking to the future. How do we lead that? We want to be in front of this. We develop our own technology. We have our own, coders and software engineers on staff that build things. We build apps. We utilize AI. I've never seen that in the way that Mancini does it anywhere else. So that attitude with this kind of true, I had talked in the past a lot about being at a firm that was entrepreneurial, Andy. I had no idea what I was talking about. This like true entrepreneurial attitude where, Hannah and I have been given this opportunity and the leadership has basically said, tell us what you want to do. What's your plan here? Okay, that's great. We love that. How can we support you? What do you need? That's from day one what we've had.
Yeah. And how many studios do they have currently at Mancini?
Six nationally.
Okay, 6.
But we're still a relatively small firm, Andy. I mean, if you compare us to the world's largest, some other offices where just a single office, they may have 500-600 people. Nationally, we're, I think, reaching now about 160.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're now at 180. We did go through a pretty large growth this year. So if you think about that across 6 offices across North America, we're a pretty small team in comparison. But I think that also allow us to be a little nimble and able to accommodate our clients and pivot things slightly different ways to be able to accommodate our clients.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just getting a sense of that because both of you mentioned innovation, and you mentioned AI as one example. What is something that's working really well, or what is something that has made an impact from an innovation standpoint at your local studio, maybe, or at the bigger office?
Well, I can tell you one I'm really excited about because we've both been exposed to this, and it's fairly it's still iterative. It's still going through processes, but. Sorry, Hannah, I want to talk about this. So,
no, go ahead.
MICA, which stands for, I'm going to completely
don't butcher it.
Yeah, I'm going to. The Mancini Information and Knowledge Assistant? No, I don't know if that's right. The A might be wrong. Anyway, MICA has kind of become this thing that I would say it's more like Apple, iPhone, iWatch, MICA. And so MICA was, I think initially, and again, I'm probably going to make this all up on my own, and all the people back in New York will kill me later, but what I saw this was this idea of MICA becoming kind of our version of taking some of these things that you see in the world from, AR, VR, AI stuff, all of this, and much smarter people doing things with it. So anyway, the point of that, Andy, is so it's a good example of this, because I just started playing with it myself to learn it. We utilize, like every firm in the world, it feels like right now, some form or different types of rendering engines that can help us from an AI front. They're just incredibly fast. It's crazy how you can iterate and get ideas out on the table. The issue that everyone has is the control of what that is. And so one of the tools that Mika has been developing is what I call a prompt engineer. And it's a way to have a lot more control into what the graphic output could be. So it's a very cool software that it's, again, just internal, it's just ours. But we go through and I have a young guy in our New York office that's been helping me, and he learned it in a day and has been outputting stuff, and he now he's completely in love with it. He thinks it's the best thing he's ever worked with. And so, something like that, Andy, I'm very, very excited about. And that, by the way, the Mika, it's kind of all over the place. I swear every week we get a new, we were in our business development kind of national meeting talking through things, and a couple of people are like, well, we've created this new dashboard that we used Mika to do this and that. And now if you're interested in finding a consultant that we've worked with in, Montana, here's a list of every consultant that we've worked with that is licensure there and and all this and this, and it's all automated. You can just do that. There's new dashboards of new information that's all being enabled through Mika and AI and all of these things. So, and again, it's all our own people that are kind of seeing, people will recognize a problem and ask them, hey guys, what do you think about this? Can we figure out a way to do this better, or come up with this, or collate this information in this way? And they just go and do really smart things that's over my head. It's just amazing.
So it's sort of like the Mancini information and knowledge assistant. So it's like your internal assistant to help do things, really is a simple way of saying it, I guess.
Yeah. And I probably am saying that wrong.
Yeah. But this, the rendering thing, what's the significance of that with your business?
Oh man. Yes, go ahead.
I'm an engineer, so.
Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
I mean, if you think about, and the whole idea is also if you think about how we communicate with our clients and also with our consultants as well, right? Sometimes the picture does a lot more than if you just write things and also we're dealing with a client, they may not necessarily know how to read a drawing. And I think there is definitely some fashion in our industry, the way that we collaborate with our client, that feels a little bit antiquated and a little bit broken. And it's not that 3D visualization is anything that's new, but how do we promote that level of collaboration and use the technology to really enable the quality of collaboration, right?
And the speed.
Yeah, and the speed. And the speed is really the result of using these technology to be able to collaborate. So that clients actually, when they're making the decision, they're able to see and understand exactly what they're basing their decisions on. So, it doesn't, people talk about, well, AI is going to take over our profession. No, we are still prompting in terms of the design concept and the overall, the controlling the overall look and feel and the design intent behind it. It just happened to project or create a lot of output in a speed time than the method that we used to do, and having to model everything, because sometimes you have to tease a couple of different ideas and present in front of the client for them to react to, then give us a feedback, and then we can refine that further. So I do think that it's much more clear collaboration and clear communication with our clients. I think that's really the beauty of it.
To illustrate a little bit too, Andy, I could give you, so that the young man I was just telling you about earlier, that when I did things, and we're doing kind of this fun study, it is all the fun things from school that everyone from a design standpoint loves to do. That's really what we've been doing. And so if you kind of look back to those days, and I would think about when I used to do this, right? So you're putting a context analysis diagram together, and you're just basically snipping out, taking a Google map or a topo or whatever, right? Something that's a static image, and you mark over the top and you put it in Illustrator, and you're doing all these cool arrows and whatever. And it can look beautiful, it's amazing, but there's a time to that that kind of takes a bit. So when he took this, we said we needed kind of these 3 context diagrams that looked from a level pretty high up, that's looking at all of downtown Phoenix and extending out, and then slowly zooming into our site. And so he did that, and he took a very, very simple 3D massing of the downtown, and I can't even talk to exactly how it was done, Andy, because I don't know, but the point is that the output of this was, instead of this kind of 2D flat contextual analysis diagram that we've all seen and done. It's now this kind of axonometric, it's 3D, but it's all kind of got the stylistic feel to the whole thing, and it's all carried out through all levels of that diagram. And when the client sees that and says, how did you do that? Like that. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and that was done very, very fast. And so he was able to kind of output that. And then I give him, very simple ideas, and we're doing very simple massing diagrams to look at what ideas could be for the actual architecture and the design. We're not intended to figure this out right now. This is all really, really, really early conversations. But then you can take that, and I wish I could show you the output. And absolutely beautiful renderings that show the experience of what it is like to be in the middle of this kind of small campus. And again, done in hours. All of this was done in hours. Whereas before, I remember having 12 computers lined up to do all the renderings overnight because I'm slaved out, all of these computers to do that. And no, this is instantaneous through, just going online, and, it's immediate. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the adage of fast, cheap, or good is really being challenged right now.
Yeah.
With this technologies that we're seeing, and it sounds like Mika is one that really is helping you guys. But with innovation, everybody wants to be innovative. I mean, you mentioned that earlier, that we thought we were entrepreneurial, we thought we were innovative, but maybe not as much as we thought. So because I think you have to have a culture that supports that. I mean, that's a little bit I've learned about innovation. So what is it about this current company and what you're doing in your studio that allows for that?
I think that energy almost comes from top down and bottom up. I mean, we've got president who is constantly looking to be better and try something new, and not afraid to fail and learn from it and move on. He himself is showing us by example, and also sharing what he's learning, an article he may have read, and then he's sharing with the rest of the team. And with that mindset, we have all this amazing young talent who's coming into our company and sharing their ideas. So I think the one part is that everybody has a voice here. There is no really that sense of hierarchy where just because you're a young, professional who's just coming into our industry, that you don't have any saying, you don't have any voice. I think culturally we've kind of allowed for people to be able to share their ideas and, have the sense of the security to speak their minds. And through that, there's so many unique opportunities, and these programs that have been mentioned, whether it's Mika or Toolbelt, which is another our own program that we use quite often, really blossom from there. So I think that's a really hard culture to find, place where everybody feels safe and secure to be able to speak their mind and share their ideas and be welcomed by that. I think that's a really unique environment here.
I think you nailed it, Hannah. Having somebody, from a leadership standpoint of the firm that believes that, Andy, is critical. When we have our leadership kind of strategic kind of meetings that we do, for example, there's a section of that where it's basically them posing and wanting us to talk about, all right, well, what do we want to do next? Like, what's the future of this? So there's an investment of time and money from the perspective of our leadership to kind of look forward and say, okay, what is the future? Where are we going? Like, what do we want to do? And then the other side of that, and I think, Hannah, you nailed it, is, when Hannah and I started hiring, that was a lot of the conversations for us was about making sure we get the hiring right as best as we can. I mean, you're never going to know until they're here and you're working, right? But we had very, very strong ideas of what we were looking for. And one of those things that kind of aligns to this a little bit, Andy, is this idea of ownership. We wanted every single person that comes in the door to feel like they own a piece of this, that they all own it. And that attitude is a bit important. Part of our other story, Andy, was like, even where we are physically in our office right now, for example, this was another one of those crazy little star aligning things on our path of opening this office. We were doing the co-working thing, and this office came about as a sublease opportunity that somebody just walked away from. And we moved in here, and everyone in our office has basically put, I couldn't even quantify it, but the sweat equity part of this was because we inherited a lot of things, a lot of furniture and things like that, and it wasn't in the best shape. So our attitude has been like, well, let's take it little by little and make it better and come up with ways to do this. What do you call it, Hannah? The cheap and cheerful. How do we do it in a way that we get the furniture we want? How do we get it the way that, we're all building things, we're all painting things, we're all demoing walls, we're doing things, but we do it on our own, and we're doing it on the cheap because, and everybody got involved in that, right? I mean, so that sense of ownership, that's something we looked for from the beginning of every single person that we hired.
And that sounds like it was a lot of fun too. I mean, I'm sure it helped build some community in that local studio.
For sure.
So, getting paint on each other and all that fun stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of ideas flowing and mess, sure. But yes, it was a lot of fun.
But so all these things sound really awesome, but you got to get some work, right? Which you've done a great job of. 2 years ago, you started getting work, and I mean, what is it that you brought to the Phoenix community that they felt the businesses or clients feel like, hey, we want to hire Hannah and Ben and Mancini Duffy to help with this?
Do you want to start, Hannah, or do you want me to?
Go ahead. I think we're going to probably say the same thing.
Well, I know where you're going to go, so I think we'll do it this way. So I think there's a couple of things, Andy, for us that, as part of our commiserating and things like that, there was certain things that we recognized that was opportunities for us to take advantage of. And so I'll let Hannah talk about a little bit on the side of some of that was, her background is significant in design build. She's done a very large portion of her career working in that. And there were opportunities around design build that kind of presented themselves for us and the way that we both like to work, which is highly collaborative. I'm, in Arizona, we don't have a lot of design build work, Andy. That's never been, I'd say 90% of the work that we do here has been CMAR. So that's been most of my career, but there is a lot of experience of, one of the things Hannah and I used to do a lot and at the old place was develop kind of like this idea of, I have this schedule that I use a lot. It's called a modified CMAR, which is really what CMAR should be, frankly, at the end of the day, but it hasn't been for quite some time. So there's that part of it. But the other part of it, I think, is we recognized, in Phoenix, there's everybody's a little bit different as far as different markets are concerned, but there were certain things that we saw and we thought we could get in front of. So as an example of that, Andy, was a lot of the clients that we work with are complaining about this idea that nobody's owning that process. They want an when they look for an architect, they want somebody that's going to lead. They want somebody that's not going to just basically throw team members under the bus or, other consultants or the builder or whatever, right? It's somebody own it, take it. And we're very siloed in a lot of the firms here, the way that we approach things. And so one of the things that Hannah and I, we used to complain a lot about was that idea of everything being siloed. One of my favorite things is she never heard of, until she came to Arizona, she had never heard of a, deferred submittal. Didn't know what that was. And so that idea of kind of deferring something that, you're not owning that process. And I understand where those things came from, right? We all get where it comes from. But as the designers, as the architects, we should be really owning that and coordinating and have it. And so we saw a lot of clients complain about things like that, Andy. Walking into a room, I have specific one client in particular that he was telling me, he's like, I walked into this one big space and I looked up at the ceiling and the lighting, the sprinklers, nothing's coordinated. It's all in the wrong spots. It's messed up. He's like, who's fixing this? Who's owning this problem? Well, of course they fixed that room, but there's 6 of them in a row, Andy, and the other 5 weren't followed up on and did the exact same thing. And he was livid. And it's just, things like that. And so that siloed approach, this idea of not owning, was something that we saw a lot of clients complaining. And what we thought was, well, everybody's trying to make things faster and cheaper from the design perspective, but they're all really complaining about no one owning anything and that it's all not coordinated and well done. What if we try to build it that way, where our process was about we own it all, we're not making every decision with a CYA mentality, right? We're just taking care of the customer and taking care of our clients. So that was one thing for me. That was one of the things we talked about. And then, Hannah, I'll let you talk about the design build portion of that too, because that was another part.
Yeah, I mean, design build, I mean, you've kind of took words out of my mouth, and a lot of those aspects of what bugs me. And he certainly heard me complain enough about this diverse middle and the silo mentality. I think one of the things that perhaps may be resonating with a lot of clients that we've been working and fortunate to work with them, for us, this is not just designing a space. For us, it's learning about the client's needs and what problem we're really trying to solve for on behalf of our client. So once we understand the problem that we're trying to solve, all the decisions really around it. It's not just creating a space. It's not just creating a pretty output of a space. So, I think by doing so, we have a lot more empathy of what our clients are going through. And why they have to make certain decision, whether it's cutting the budget, whether they have to move the schedule or whatever that is. And we take on some of the risk and be very nimble with them and go along the journey with them. And that's been really resonating with a lot of our clients. We just had a really, really great feedback from our client for exact reason. There has been a lot of changes. There has been a lot of change in budget revision, and our team has been along on top of it along every step of the way, because we know that was one of their problem solving that we had to take on part of the ownership and responsibility. So, and I think one of the feedback they said, somebody else, another design firm that they're working with, the moment there were so many changes and the moment there was a reduction of budget and change in schedule to do things faster, those teams just start to check out. They were no longer engaged in that project like they were in the very earlier on when they first won the project, whereas what they said they saw in us was completely opposite. We were more engaged, we're hands-on, we're still very upfront at the table with them, trying to help them address their situation that they're going through. So I think that's the mentality Ben and I from the get-go, when we commiserated or contemplated about doing our own thing or even opening an office with Mancini in Phoenix, was that mentality. We're here, we treat every client as if this is our first client and our last client. We also have something to prove in this market because we're relatively new. A lot of people don't know who we are. While the Mancini name in East Coast is very established, in the Valley area, we're one of the newbies and new players in town. So I think that mentality will stick with us no matter how long we've been in the market, no matter how long we'll be in Phoenix area.
But you got something to prove, it sounds like, right?
We
Absolutely.
do. We absolutely do.
But what is that the only thing that drives that mentality that you mentioned? Is what else is driving that?
I think it's collaboration. I mean, we're certainly not the expert of everything. When it comes to mechanical, electrical, those engineering scope of work, yes, we know enough to be dangerous, but we're not the expert. So with part of the design build, what that taught me is bringing all the players at the table and as early as possible, and even taking the client along with that journey of collaboration from the get-go. We focus a lot on the outcome, like what the final product looks like. And we spend a lot of time on winning the project, right? Everybody put their best foot forward, best effort to win the project. But during that journey, I mean, I think that's as equally important, because that's what you remember. Yeah. You remember, that project, that team that I work with, that was such a pleasant experience. And everybody, they had their best foot forward at the table, and everybody came here to help, create a solution. I think that's something that's always in back of our mind in every single project. How do we create the best journey for all players, not just us, not just a client, but all the consultants as well?
In my career, Andy, too, we talked about this a lot too before we came here, is this idea that there's a lot of design firms that you put a lot of energy in that first portion to get the job. There's a lot of energy, and you are right there. You're putting all your energy towards it. You're trying to get what you can, and then you end up kind of in that last 5% doing the same thing again, because you're trying to kind of get this thing out the door and be done and get your fee and get everything right here. Well, what about that whole 90% in the middle?
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that enough. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that it's just this relentless pursuit of constantly doing that. And like a great example of that is what Hannah's talking about. That was an actual conversation she had just a little while ago from a feedback from a client perspective. So she's really good about that. You've had probably 3 of those kind of conversations with them already at this point, and we just started CDs, Andy. So there's this pretty consistent, like, asking for feedback. Where are we right now? How are we doing? What are we doing well? What are we doing not so well? So constantly kind of getting that, and just this, like, again, a relentless kind of just don't put your foot on the brake at all.
Yeah.
Because that's the hard stuff. It's everything in the middle. That's where it's hard. That's where you really show up for a client, and they're going to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely sounds really awesome. Now, here's the challenge is, well, I'm not going there.
Killing our people?
No, I'm going to the point of, how do you package all that up you just said, and, like, very well, but how do you package that up and share that with a client who's like, I'm looking at 5 different architects right now?
That is
hard.
TBD.
And we have a lot of great competition in the Valley as well. There's a lot of amazing firm, but I think it's a genuine, when you spend time with a client and willingness to invest a little bit of effort and share your genuine interest and I guess your effort and your passion into it. So far, it's been really resonating with us. Clients has been seeing it right through, and from the get-go, they're like, okay, well, there's something that we're saying that seems to be, we don't know exactly what it is, but there's something we're saying to our client that's resonating with them.
Yeah.
And it seems simple, right? Like if you really break it down, it's that interaction and compassion and willingness to really be there for your client to solve the problem. But I think, and we've been guilty of that as well in the past, but we kind of forget why we're doing it. Right? Like we get so wrapped up in the journey of the schedule and deadline and budget and the fee, and then trying to get our team to be much more efficient and so that we can make money. All of that is still as equally important, of course. We're not in business if we can't make money. But I think if we just kind of take a one step back and look at why we're doing what we're doing and trying to be there on behalf of client, I don't know what that magic is, but I think it's been resonating somehow.
Well, it's a mixed bag, and to your point, Andy, that it's a really hard thing to do because it's not going to work 100% of the time. Obviously, I think that that you're trying to find. We've always had the attitude of kind of quality over quantity when it comes to clients. We want to find partnerships, and we want to have people that will be doing this for a while. And I think part of that is that, in the traditional sense of the word, I think Hannah and I, one of the things that as co-leadership, one of the things that we used to talk about was you both have strengths and weaknesses, and that's one of the reasons we love it. You help each other in that way. Neither of us are really probably the traditional kind of business development folks. I mean, we just, that's not our bag, I guess is the way I would put it. But the way that we've seen this is, what we look for is just a chance. And then usually when we're given an opportunity and we go through, we can do really well because that's how we, basically the proof's in the pudding, to your point, Andy, about the way that we work. And so that's been really successful for us. And I think I'll tell just like this funny little anecdote sort of thing. It's a slightly embarrassing, but I think it'll tell a story because I think it's funny.
Dear.
Well, no, not to you. It's actually going to be for me. And so one of the things that I really, really believe in is, sincerity is a hard thing to fake.
Yeah.
And so the relationship is something that's really important to us. And so little while back, our president was here, and we were going, and when we try to get leadership here, we want them to meet with as many people as we can. We're trying to introduce them as we build the name Mancini, and Christian's a really energetic guy. He's a very dynamic person that you can get and have really good meetings with. And so as we had him here and we're, running around all over the place, breakfast, lunch, dinner, meetings in the mornings, meetings in the afternoon, whoever we can. He said something that was really funny to me at the end of the trip. And he said, I think, and I don't remember exactly the way he said it, Hannah, but he was talking, he was like, I think there's going to be a new way for me to kind of judge how some of the leaders work in our other offices. He says, I've never seen this before, Ben, but every time that you went and we met with some clients, they all hugged you.
Oh, wow.
He's like, I've never seen that. And he said, I think that was something that was kind of eye-opening to me. And so that, for me, like, I took that as a big compliment because, I try to be really sincere. And when I develop a friendship with a client, that's something that's real. It's not something that I'm trying to fake. And so we're there to try to do what's best for them. We really are representing them in the best way that we can. Yes, the business stuff's important. Yes, all of those things. But if you're prioritizing kind of the client, their needs, what they're looking for, all of those things, the rest of it kind of will follow. That's my philosophy.
No ego. I think that's another big thing, right? It's like
that was a big, how do we not even talk about that?
Yeah, I think, and that's something that one of the criteria when we interview potential candidate to join our team, because ego it's very transparent. When somebody's ego, it shows up, right? And it's pretty apparent. And I think that the sincerity that Ben's talking about, for us, we're not above it all. We're just happen to be in this journey. We happen to have a little more experience in interiors and architecture or design build or whatever they may be than our client. We're bringing that level of service to our client. We're a service industry at the end of the day. So I think that's always in back of our mind. We always say, check your ego at the door before you come in here, because that's not welcome. And I think that shows up in that level of sincerity as well. I mean, both Ben and I, we have a client who texts us to ask us questions, whether it's about project or something random, because we want to build that relationship. It's not about how big the project is, how much money we're going to make off of that project. It could start from something so small, but we care about building that relationship because it'll result in us potentially helping them with bigger projects down the road. And I think that's been the true testament of all the projects and the clients that we're meeting so far.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, you got to be good at what you do, which, I'm sure everybody in your community, in your area is pretty good. So this type of thing you're talking about that's the difference maker. You buy from who you like. And, these are ways to really connect with people. So what I'm hearing, Ben, is I need to start hugging my clients in order to get better. Right? Is that what you're basically saying?
It might help. You never know. It certainly doesn't hurt.
Boy.
I'm kidding, of course. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's my
told you it was slightly embarrassing.
That's my attempt at a joke. But
it's all good.
Anyway. But Hannah, you were talking about, because obviously this is the Enhanced podcast, I really like to dig into your why. Why do you do it? I think we've hit on that. So while we're there, let's go ahead and just really dig in that a little bit more. I mean, what is it that you feel enhances the world, either you or Ben, or actually both of you, of course, but what do you feel that you personally, your studio does that enhances the world around you?
I think we're creating something that impacts people in their emotion, how they feel, their productivity, anything that provoke that moment of emotion. To me, that's successful projects. And I think our team, whether it's through the journey of the design journey, from winning the project all the way down to punch lists and having client along the journey with us, or their team walking into a space that we've created and seeing their sense of excitement or how their mood changes. I think that's kind of why I do what we do. And I think that's how our team does what they do. It impacts in their lives in small ways, but it's meaningful. it's the connection. It's what we created together impacting not only that one individual, but their community. I mean, I don't know how much more you can ask more than that. It's a bit of a gift.
It is.
Well, and I like what you said earlier too, because the process itself, was important to you. Not just. I mean, the finish is super important, and starting is obviously important, but the actual enjoyment of the process itself, like that's.
Yeah.
And when you enjoy that, then I can tell why people want to work with you and why you are making the world better. Ben, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's funny that going further and further in my career, that's slightly changed, I think, a little bit. Or my answer would be different now, I guess, than what it was earlier. But my story is a little unique, and in the sense that, so I studied something else for a while before I came to architecture, and so as I kind of went through that and I was evaluating and understanding myself a little bit more, I've started to realize things. So I believe that architects inherently are problem solvers. I mean, I think that's what our education is about, is problem solving. And so I've recognized that about myself, that's one of the things. I'm a strategy guy, I'm a problem guy, I like to resolve things. And so that combined with this kind of the nature of kind of where I am, my why is really about that, right? The other aspect of that to me is one of my absolute favorite things about this job I've learned over the years too, is when we dive in and you're learning something new. As a good example of this, I've had some good experiences working with native tribes, and we're working with 2 native tribes right now. That was one of the things that we didn't anticipate coming our way, but for some reason we're getting that work. And so the dive into the history and the culture and the people when you're researching and learning about that is something that's one of the things for me that I absolutely love. And that's one of the great things about architecture too, is that on every project, a long time ago I did this really cool, and here's a little quiz for you too, Andy. So do you remember the show The Pretender? You ever heard of that?
Is that like the Marvel thing, or is that?
No, different. There was a maybe I'm dating. No, you're good. I'm dating myself. But there was a show. It was about a guy who was a genius, and the context of the show is he would go around, and each show he had to become somebody different to resolve and help this family or this person or whatever it is. And so on this episode, he had to be a doctor, or he had to be a whatever, and so he was so brilliant and so smart that he was able to adapt and become whatever that role was for that episode. And so for me, a lot of like what we do on a project by project basis is we have to become an expert about something for every project, and it's unique. And that's another thing I absolutely love about what I do, is that idea that every project offers each of us an opportunity to learn new things. And so anyway, those are the things for me that the creative side of what Hannah's saying, that the creation thing, obviously that's a high that we all get to feel of doing something and building something and seeing it come to life, and right. But really for me, it's actually kind of the earlier stuff. It's the figuring it out and trying to understand what the problem is. The other, what I used to do, and like where I thought I was going to go, is I wanted to be an emergency room physician. So I went through school for that for a while. I worked in an ER for 5 years. And so what's funny is later on in life, I realized an architect and an emergency doc are almost the same job, because it's all about problem solving. It really is. I know it sounds weird, and I tell people that, but if you think about it, you're presented a case, there's a lot of variables, and you're trying to figure out what those are. Some of them you are really apparent. Some you got to figure out through testing or figure out the programming or whatever it might be. And then it's about taking all of that information and kind of resolving it to an outcome. In an emergency room environment, it's about stabilizing a patient and getting them out the door, or wherever it might be. For an architect, it's about resolving this into this design that fixes all of those problems. And so it's the same process. I didn't know that back then. I didn't know. Yep. Yeah, there are no architecture emergencies. We say that a lot. So, but the point is I think for me, that's my why. It is that process that for me that drives me every single day.
Is the taking them through their emergency, so to speak, and in solving that problem.
Yeah. And some of those, by the way, like, and we've all probably had projects where those are really easy to understand, or they'll come to you and say, this is our problem. And then you realize that's not really what their problem is, right? How many times has that happened where you figure that out along the way a little bit?
Yeah.
Or, I think the future of where we go, by the way, is a kind of a recognition of that, they'll be like, well, we're running out of space. We need to build this whole new building because we need more desks. Well, is there other ways to resolve that issue?
Yeah.
Could you do it differently? Could you add another overnight kind of, thing, or could you do partially remote? Could you do like there are any number of ways to that solution to resolve that issue?
Right.
We should be paid no matter what the solution is. It might not be building a building anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. I've had that experience too, where it was, I thought I wanted something, and it actually kind of like to the no ego point, it takes a little bit of, it almost takes the opposite of that, right? Because you have to tell them, I really think, you have to balance that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you have to tell them, hey, I really think you don't need extra space. What you need is to like reconfigure this, because if you
Exactly.
or something, I don't know, as an example.
Yeah.
But what is an example that you can think of where you solve somebody's problem?
Well, let's stay relevant to where we are right now. I think so. One of the projects that we're working on is one of the tribal projects was working with one of the tribes here in Arizona called the Wallapai tribe, and we've talked about this one a lot, but we're still under construction. And so, just high level version of this problem, without diving too deep into it, was so they're located in the very northwest corner of the state, very remote. Peach Springs is the name of the town, and by the way, when I say that here, almost no one knows what that is in Arizona. Like they have no cell service.
Remote.
There's nothing. And so they wanted to build. They had a bunch of money that came to them through COVID, and they wanted to use it to build a new tribal administration building, like their city hall, their capital, kind of a building. And tribes they have a lot of difficulty with doing projects when it's situations like this where it's remote. They get taken advantage of. It's very expensive because you're asking designers and builders to go in the middle of nowhere. So all of these challenges that they do on a day-to-day basis. And so we were part of a team that was helping kind of get in front of that and trying to help resolve those problems. But specifically to that building itself, we knew it was going to be difficult. And so one of the ways that we worked to kind of solve that problem, Andy, was saying, okay, well, we know that getting trades up there, getting people to work is going to be difficult. So how do we do something that maybe would make things quicker? And so the way they resolved that was we came up with a scheme of kind of breaking the building up into 4 different modules, and each one is a highly customized pre-engineered metal building. And then we connected them all together, so it's one building. But the way that the erection of the primary structure and the skin and all those things could happen really, really quickly, because it's kind of an off-the-shelf component. Of course, we made it difficult doing customization pieces to this, but anyway, the theory anyway was taking advantage of things that are going to make this faster and easier. And so that was a resolution of a huge issue that they had. And so we're under construction, the skin's starting to go on these buildings, and we're starting to see it come to life. And we're getting the response to that, which is this, one of the main client, I think that Hannah brought him up earlier, is the CFO for the tribe, and he called the other day just to talk about it. He's like, I can't believe this. Like, he did it. He's so animated and so excited.
Wow.
And that has been a very rewarding project for us because of that kind of reaction, where people are like, can't
and
believe
that
this.
probably is also a perfect example where we had all the players earlier on engaged into the project, including clients, and took along that journey of decision making. When we have to make the decisions in timely manner, there was reason behind it. There were certain things that we had to value engineers. There's reason behind it, and client knew every step of the way. And he was even sitting at the table with us when we're having this discussion. So the end product and what he's starting to see in the job site, it feels a lot more fruitful because he's been along the entire journey rather than just a portion of decision making, right? So, and I think all the teammates that who's been working on the project, I mean, there was no ego. There was no ego of MEP. There's no ego of structural. There's no ego. Right. We had zero time. Everybody had to come to the table with a solution and idea of how we can, come up with a solution for it. So that probably is a perfect example as to the culture and the value that we try to instill in our office.
That's awesome. It sounds like a successful project and just a great example of how your team is really enjoying working with both of you. So I want to just hit on a couple more questions and then let you get back to the heat there in Phoenix. But what is, we didn't really hit on this, but what is your profile of work that you really like to do, or is there a type of work that you're focusing on right now?
Sort of office environment has been our bread and butter. That's something that both Ben and I have a pretty extensive experiences in. Multifamily is something that we're really trying to develop here further too, along with residential, tapping into our resources and talent we've got. Hospitality, that's probably the one market where we're really trying to penetrate into and showcase our capabilities. If Ben and I had a perfect way, I think, what am I looking for? It's not mixed use, but it's I'm losing my words.
Live work maybe, or?
No.
I'm not sure where you're going.
My God, I'm having a brain moment. Maybe I need more coffee.
Well,
it's not mixed use. Like in an ideal way, like if we had a perfect way, we talked about even converting gas station into this,
adaptive reuse.
Thank you, adaptive reuse. I think that will be our goal. And
we're both really passionate about that one.
Yeah, there are just so many great opportunity here in our market that's kind of abandoned or left dormant that could be converted into the supporting community, whether it's mixed use, whether it's other functions. So I think that will be our passion project.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think we've been really lucky, Andy. When we first started this, obviously we built out kind of a business plan where we wanted to go. That got completely shot down when clients came with us that we didn't expect and blew that all up. But out of that, though, we've been really fortunate. We're super diverse. So a lot of the project types that we've worked, everything she talked about, in addition to, we've done every type of office, we've done higher education, we've done, we've been really very, very lucky that way. I think what we're trying to do, though, is the only one that I would add to the list of what Hannah was just talking about, those are kind of core where we're working towards is kind of the municipal side. So civic is one that it really, I guess you could call it maybe public, but so civic and higher education is another one that we're working on. We think it's really important to be diverse as far as both on the private and public. I have a significant amount of experience myself working with municipal and higher education clients, anything public really, a lot of different entities, whether it's municipalities or the state or whatever it might be. So I think those are kind of the core of where we go on. We're very fortunate as a firm that we do work in many, many practice areas like a lot of firms do. But for us, those are kind of been the focus right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And you've got a company, again, back to the benefit of a bigger company, because you could say, hey, our home office can deal with that part because maybe you're not able to handle it locally, etc. Right?
We do that. Yeah, we do that a lot.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I want to, because of the way this conversation went, I wanted to, if you're open to it, just a different question, because both of you seem like you get along really well, and I just wanted to just say, hey, I wanted each of you to just say something about the other, and anything that maybe the audience would want to know about, or maybe people don't know about you. So anything that you feel is relevant. It could be, probably.
Can we make it embarrassing, Andy? No, I'm just
kidding.
I'll let you be the judge of that,
kidding.
but I was hoping you'd not use ego, right? No, I was kidding. But yeah, if you could, it just felt like the way the conversation went, that would be a fun question to ask. So I'll let you guys decide who wants to go first.
That's a really good question. So, I mean, something that they might not know about each other. Okay, so I think...
Wait, is that the question? Something that...
just something about Hannah. So, Ben, something about Hannah that the audience would want to know, or maybe that your team doesn't know. So just something interesting, basically, about Hannah, and likewise about Ben. So about the other person.
The face, I think, that she's making right now is telling. So okay, so I'm guessing what she'll say will be very, responsive to what I say. I'm guessing,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think
first.
okay. So yeah, you're right on, Andy. We've been very fortunate. So I'm trying to think how long. So we worked together 3.5 years at the other. So we've been what like 4.5, 5 years at this point. We've worked together.
Feels longer than that for some reason.
Yeah, something. So it's been a little bit. Yeah. So I think if I was to kind of approach this in a couple different ways, Handy, I think one of the funny things I'll say, this might be a kind of fun moment, is I think that my wife and Hannah have a better relationship than I do in some ways. That is very true. They would pick her over me any day of the week. So
that's very true.
There's that side of it. I think that's been very frustrating. And so a little factoid too, by the way, with that, Andy, that might be interesting, is I'm the only guy in this office.
Okay.
That is very true.
That's been another piece of it that's been interesting. There's a lot of feminine energy in this office. So there's that. And then I think from
getting so much work because of that.
It makes things fun. I'll say that. I think from kind of working with Hannah, though, I'll add something on that side of it too. So one of the things that I'm super grateful for, and I think one of the things that has been a real benefit, is that Hannah is really, really good at kind of the details in many ways. And so one of the things that I've always struggled with, and I remember my mentor when I was young, I worked at another bigger firm, and he was great, and I loved working with him. And we used to talk a lot about, I tended to be, I'd put the blinders on, and I would bore in, and I would just go. And I'd get too far down a road and not realize I need to kind of pull back out a little bit. And we had a lot of those conversations about, when you're at 50,000 foot elevation and when you're at 500, and knowing when, because I get enamored with an idea or kind of problem solving kind of thing, right, Andy? And I just kind of keep going. And so when you're doing that, a lot of times you miss some of the little details. You're kind of just going after something. And I've been known for that problem slightly. So one of the things that's been great is having Hannah as a partner with me that is helping me, as I said at the very beginning, Andy, this was not the path I saw for myself, right? I learned a lot of things in the last several years of working where we were together in a leadership role, that I could do things that I didn't know I could. And a lot of that came from working with Hannah, and this ability to kind of push me a little bit better to kind of recognize that and stay on top of things that I needed to. And so that, I think that was one of the things. I think her attentiveness and detail oriented and knowing, holding us to account in a good way on that has been something that I really, really appreciate about working with Hannah.
Oh, shucks. Ben. When, as I said earlier, when this opportunity to potentially open an office for Mancini Phoenix, I could have had many options of people who I, called to join me in this journey.
I was like the third choice, Andy.
Okay, whatever. He was the one and only. I knew he shared that genuine vision, caring for the clients, and one of the things that every single client that Ben has ever worked with, I have yet to meet any client who he doesn't build a meaningful relationship with. I think it's his genuine sincerity approach to each project and the problems that they're dealing with. He approached with such a care and compassion. And I think because of that, he always tend to build this really concrete relationship with his client. And that that core value that he has, I knew that was exactly who I wanted in my partner to to grow this office, to open this office, and that has been the case. And I think I get very focused in big picture, and he tells me that I'm an agent of chaos sometimes because I'm constantly thinking for the what's next, what can we do differently, what's the next vision, where do we grow, and how do we grow to there. Bit of a bit bulldog. Once I bite, I don't let go. I keep want to just go after it and go after it. Whereas I think Ben creates that sense of calm. He's like, okay, pull back 1 second. Let's strategically think through rather than rushing through it. So I think there has been really great balance of his personal strength and my personal strength that really complement each other. And even his work style. I mean, he creates these beautiful sketches, and he has ability to share his ideas with team and communicate at the design director level that he operated even in the past. So I think that's something that I really appreciate what he's able to offer to our team as well.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for doing that. Both of you, I know that was maybe
uncomfortable,
but exactly.
No, it's good.
But I mean, that's what you guys do. You're sincere, so it seemed like appropriate. So it wasn't on the questionnaire, but it was something that just felt like it was going to be fun. So thanks for sharing.
It was good,
that.
Andy. I was expecting a joke about Dr. Pepper, but we're good.
I mean, that's given. He's Dr. Pepper addict.
Okay. What got that going? I guess the doctor school, or was it?
No, that's the way I see that. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do hard drugs, Andy. I have, and I did convert to diet a long time ago, at least for my wife. So that helped me a lot. But the way I see that is like, at least I'm not mainlining heroin or something. I have a Diet Dr. Pepper problem. Okay.
Yeah.
You're Dr. Pepper connoisseur, because he goes to specific places to get his soda and has to be only at McDonald's.
Okay, you gotta get that Dr. Pepper,
Yeah, apparently you do you.
But awesome. Well, this has been a really fun episode with both of you. I've learned a lot about. I did have one other question, because I wanted to get one other fun fact from you, because I've never been to Arizona or Phoenix. So could you just tell me, I don't know, something interesting about Phoenix? Anything you feel, or Arizona, so something else about Phoenix or Arizona that we should know about?
Oh man, well, so I've been here, well, that's one funny thing. You've been here kind of a certain amount of time. They can say, we all joke around that you qualify as native. So I've been here since '97, and I guess that qualifies as native, but I'm actually Canadian.
Oh,
Andy,
really?
Believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing on that one. But I think, yeah, no, it's I question myself every summer why I live here. So I would say, one of the things that I love about Arizona is, a lot of people come here, and I even complain about this at times. Like the shades of tan and brown, Andy, are very, very strong. Like that, and that's a joke, right? But what I will say though is there is a aesthetic, there is an experience to what Arizona is, from just when you go out and you actually see the sky, you see the sun, you see especially a sunset and a sunrise, and the environment and the context that we live in kind of a native desert landscape. There is nothing else like it than here. I have never seen anything in the world that is like Arizona. And so I think that is a lot of the reason that you see some of these architects, designers, storytellers, photographers, the creative types that come here, and they're inspired by it, because there really is just something very, very unique and very, very special about a desert landscape, and specifically in Arizona, the Sonoran desert landscape that is nowhere else. That's one thing I would say.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I would agree. I mean, the greenery, I think when my East Coast friends heard that I'm moving here, they're like, why are you going to desert? Like, there's nothing is alive there. It's not true. There's the blossom. I mean, right now, like everything during our winter season, that's when things blossom here. So you get this beautiful fragrance of smell whenever you walk, and there's certain scent to the desert that I can't quite pinpoint, but it is beautiful, and I've really grown accustomed to and realizing how much of various different landscape that's here that is so stunning. So that is true. There's no the sunset sunrise here. I mean, I've never seen colors like that. The unique things and things that did scare me. There's something here called haboob, which I never learned that until I moved here, which is a sandstorm or
it's
dust
the dust
storm.
storms that come through. And so in front of storms, Andy, they'll whip up those,
It's
huge
just
dust
dust
storms.
cloud that comes, but you do get a warning on your phone. And the first time I got it, it says haboob, and it tells you the time that it's coming. Pull over to the side, stay alive. That's the warning that they give you.
Wow.
So I'm like, what did I do living here? Other than that, it's been amazing.
So that's serious. I mean, this is a serious thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
People don't realize that we do have a monsoon season. Like I said, it's not as bad as it used to be, Andy.
It's
but
just violent when it comes.
They're violent. They're very strong winds, lightning, thunder, heavy rains when it does come, and yeah, there's been, we have laws that are revolving around that. So, example, the washes that come here, they can get violently going from a flood standpoint when the rains are hard, coming down really hard. And people will drive through that thinking that, it doesn't look that bad, and I'll drive through it. So they call it stupid motorist laws. And it's when you decide that if you want to take your car through one of those washes and you get washed away and you have to be rescued or whatever it is, you're paying the bill for every single person on that fire rescue team.
Oh, wow.
So, those storms that come through, they're beautiful at times too. Like you see the photos of those dust storms when they're first coming, and you got a mile high kind of dust cloud that's coming violently at you. It's really pretty actually at first, but yeah, when you're in it, it sucks.
I don't know whether these were the answers that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
Well,
boobs and
no, I mean
sunrises.
I think every place on the planet and in the U.S. has its environmental issues. Like
Mhm.
you have hurricanes, you have these. But we just have to learn to deal with them, I guess. But
You're right.
that's a weird place to end it, I suppose.
Let's just cut it earlier and just talk about the sunrises and the sunsets.
Ignore my haboob.
No, that's fine. It's an interesting fun fact. I mean, I'll probably remember that one. So,
I didn't know that until I came here.
Don't want to have that stupid motorist tax or whatever happen
Yeah.
to me. So I'll
You
keep that in
don't.
mind.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But was there anything else that you wanted to mention today, or that I didn't hit on?
It was great to meet you. I think this was a lot of fun. I think we've been fortunate. We've done a few different kind of podcasts talking about different things, and I think this one was kind of refreshing in the sense, Andy, where it was more about kind of us and the office and kind of
Entrepreneurial
yeah,
side.
it's a little bit more. It was a very different conversation, so I appreciate that, and it was fun to talk with you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about some different things. So I'm an entrepreneur myself. So like whenever people bring that up, so if I spend a little too much on that, then that's why. So glad
all good.
You hung on that one for a little while. But I think people can learn from that. We have a lot of business owners and people that maybe want to hang a shingle one day. So I thought, why don't we give them some input on that? So awesome. Well, Hannah, Ben, it was great to have you today. And I wish you all the success in your studio there.
Thank you.
Much
Appreciate it. Come and visit us. Just not during monsoon season.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
In the winter. Don't do it. Don't do it next few months.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, Andy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to today's episode of Enhance. And please leave a like, a subscribe, or a follow, and we'll see you next time.